think that's a bit of an understatement as well. I think they're more than confused. I think they're panicking a little bit for various different reasons. The point of this video today, and we'll get on to it in just a little bit, is even a Russian expert fears that this initiative, this decree, could backfire on Russia. The Serbian president made a very good point here. I'm going to just guess his name is Vucic or Vucic. Apologies to Serbs and the Serbian president. He says some people think it's genius in the geopolitical game to counter the petrodollar with the ruble along with the yuan. The Germans have already said that this is the reason for terminating the treaty. I'm not sure about this. All this brings us more and more problems. I can't really fault that. I think it does bring a lot of problems. He also expressed his fears that neighbouring Hungary, which was included in the list of countries unfriendly to Russia, would not be able to pay for gas in the rubles. Vucic stressed that many small European countries which do not have their own gas and oil are completely dependent on imports, and therefore for most of them the decision will become simply unbearable. Sorry, I can't read today or speak English. But again, got to stress, countries unfriendly to Russia. There's talk in the Western articles as almost as though all transactions for natural gas will be exclusively in the rubles. That is not what was said. And you have to pay very close attention to the words that President Putin uses because he picks them very carefully indeed. Moving on, this is from Tanka.ru. Problem for the world or just an inconvenience? What reaction do the countries provoke from Russia's decision to sell gas for rubles? Apologies for Google Translate. The head of the Bundestag Committee on Energy and Climate Protection, Klaus Ernst, in turn said the payment for supplied Russian natural gas in rubles is technically possible. The decision of the president of Russia, however, will force the EU to bypass its own sanctions, which can fuel discussions about the boycott of energy from the Russian Federation. He recalled that until now, Germany intended to continue purchasing Russian energy carriers. That's interesting wording. Again, might be Google Translate, because as I understand, there is not a formal sanction against, let's say, Russian energy, because I'm talking oil and gas here. I think the Germans have said that they cannot sanction Russian gas. They are between a rock and a hard place. Certainly in the very short term, they cannot do that. So I don't believe it's under sanctions yet. It's just simply this ideal boycott, that they're kind of going around with. Several states announced their readiness to pay for gas supplies in the rubles. Deputy Prime Minister of Moldova, Andrei Spinu, said that Russia's decision is not a problem for the state. He recalled that earlier the contract signed between Moldova Gas and Gazprom provided for payment in dollars, euros, and Russian rubles. The head of Moldova Gas, Vadim Cheban, said that already this week, part of the gas consumed by the Republic from the Russian Federation was paid for in Russian rubles. A possible transition to rubles, in his opinion, will not affect the financial situation of the company. So there's a few reactions, but these are generally countries that are deemed friendly to Russia. They're kind of meh. This is the article from the expert who is not so jubilant, let's say. It is necessary to look for a buyer of gas for rubles in Eastern Europe. Mikhail Krutygin, about the decision to sell gas for rubles. I like the first question. It ends, do you understand what Putin is talking about? Which is a fair question. This bit about tap scratch, I believe, is referring to shale or fracking. I've highlighted here, then wait for claims to the Stockholm arbitration. We'll come on to that in a little minute, because that's intriguing. Putin did not say a word about the revision of previous deals. Maybe deals are meant that will be after March 23rd, 2022. No new contracts have been concluded for a long time. Gazprom previously refused all contracts in addition to long-term. This statement looks like an attempt to save the ruble system to save the ruble. The idea is to force foreign buyers of Russian gas to pay in rubles by buying rubles from banks that are under international sanctions. Somehow avoid this situation. Buyers of Russian gas can refuse to work in the rubles? Yes, I think they can. This is what the Minister of Italy said. He was kind of like, meh, we'll just pay in the euro. I want to see how that works, because surely Gazprom will just go, well, no gas then. and then you end up in arbitration. You know, that's going to be very interesting. They'll definitely do this by contacting the Stockholm arbitration. This is a breach of contract. This is in this person's opinion, and this has been echoed by Germany, I believe, who have also claimed this would be a breach of contract. Stockholm arbitration is dangerous in what way? Fines for Gazprom, possible termination of contracts. This can drag on for months or years. A few points in there. Fines for Gazprom, I'm not sure is really going to deter them or bother them too much. Possible termination of contracts, well, Germany wouldn't want that either. They need the gas. That's stated. This can drag on for months or years. That's almost stated like a bad thing. On the one hand, yes, that could be bad for Russia if you think that then money's not coming in. But I think they're willing to risk that because at the same time, gas won't be going to Germany, which could be catastrophic. And yes, it could go on for months, years. That's kind of that's a double-edged sword. That threat can go both ways. Neither party wants that. It's no secret that the layman in the West is shocked by the prices that he sees at gas stations. The expert replies, according to public opinion polls in the United States and other countries, it is clear that there is an amazingly high percentage of people who are ready to make even material losses in order to help Ukraine. You guys are going to need to correct me here because I believe even on Tucker Carlson, again, people hate it when I mention his name, but as he stated, the guys on TV who are saying, oh yeah, I'm happy to pay to help Ukraine, they're driving Teslas, so they're not affected by the gas prices. We're seeing protests of French, Spanish truck drivers at the high prices. I'm not sure that's true. Public opinion polls, could be, yeah, I'm skeptical there. Deliveries sank this month. For oil, exports sank about 30%, and production, according to estimates that were published recently, have already decreased by 6% during this time. So production hasn't really fallen that much, but definitely exports have taken a hit. We discussed yesterday's video that India is very happy to pick up the slack there and get its cut price oil. Can't blame them. I wouldn't. China, I'm sure, will also gobble up some of that. But yeah, so there is a bit of a difficulty when it comes to oil. Gas, I believe Russia actually increased its delivery of. Are there clear points on the calendar when we understand the prospects for reducing gas supplies? I see that the main Russian market for gas, which is Europe, is preparing to implement a 10-point plan, according to which they hope to reduce Russian gas imports by 2/3 by the end of 2022. They are going to cut imports by at least 60%. It seems to me that this is an unrealistic goal for such a period. Nevertheless, the reduction can be very, very serious before the end of the year. The Germans have also stated similar points. So yes, I agree that aim. Point being, they have stated that. That is their stated intention, and President Putin knows that. So I think that's kind of all part of the equation and has been factored in. Here's an interesting question. Has Russia or the USSR ever sold gas for rubles? I don't remember that, but something similar happened with the countries of People's Democracy under the Soviet Union. The so-called bloc of Soviet states had benefits here, but there was a very special ruble, a special exchange rate. There were several ruble exchange rates. I was vaguely aware of that. I'll skip past the rest where it talks about hard currency and stuff. There's an opinion that today's statement is actually insurance against the gas for food scheme. It's also fair that this is an attempt to support the ruble exchange rate through a constant demand for it, but I have strong doubts that this trick will work. There we go. That's even a Russian expert has a lot of doubts here. Let's go on to the last one. Really? No one will pay in rubles? There are countries that are critically dependent on Russian gas supplies and those who cannot replace Russian gas with anything. Among them, you can look for potential buyers for rubles. In other words, you need to look in Eastern Europe, in Central Europe, but it is unlikely that the reaction to this will be quick. That's a fair point. I've already been bombarded with questions from colleagues from the West. Politico also ran a quick article here with some interesting points that mirror, as I said, about the Italian minister just basically saying, nope, we're gonna just pay for it in euros. This really is fascinating. Again, I will stress that President Putin did not exclusively say natural gas. He said, and other raw materials. How long before this is implemented to oil? I suspect there might be some cautiousness and reticence to actually enforce this on oil at this time. It's probably not as beneficial or as disruptive as this decree on natural gas.